Hey.
Hey, can you see us? Ooh.
And
Hi.
hey, there's gonna be a fire alarm going off, but don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right. We'll ignore
Just
it.
ignore it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Let's do this. Okay.
Yeah, me.
Okay. I'm Alex, by the way. I met you at Oregon Donor Day last year, I believe.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, you were really good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I may not have the best sometimes, don't worry. But I'm here. I'll remember.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll start off by just asking, if you could just, briefly explain what it is you do, and what artists you've worked with, and so on.
Sure. Yeah, songwriting's kind of an interesting part of the music industry to get into because, obviously, there's positives about it. You get to meet some really cool people, but you kind of have to be good with being the lesser known of the artists and producers, and which is a good thing. It's cool, but over the past couple of years, I've had some cool opportunities to be able to write with a couple different writers, and some Chris Jacobson is a really well-known writer, and Carson is another writer I've written with. And I'm actually in Los Angeles right now. I just got to write with some of Kesha's writers the other day, too, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, these guys are some really legit guys. They're very talented, and you kind of forget about these guys as part of the songwriting process because you think most of the time the artists, unfortunately, don't write their own songs. They have writers write them for them. Yeah. Though I was listening yesterday and heard that Taylor Swift wrote her whole album by herself. So as a songwriter's perspective, as much as, yeah, there it goes. From a songwriter's perspective, I respect that because for the amount of artists that don't write their stuff anymore, it's always good to hear that somebody's still writing their own stuff.
Right. No, I agree.
But at the same time, you also have artists that will write a good amount of their album, and then they'll come to writers, such as me and all these other guys, to kind of clean things up and maybe add things here musically. Luckily, I've been able to have the privilege to be able to work both lyrically and musically. So, we can sit around all day and basically try to make the music of the idea of the song a little deeper and better. And same thing lyrically, too. So it's an interesting part of the industry to be in. Consists of a good amount of travel, too. So that's the other thing. But it's good. It's cool.
Awesome.
I have a question. Okay, so do you always write for specific artists, or do they just you just write songs and they just take them? How does that?
No, like I said, I'm a freelance writer. So what's nice is I had my first contract I was 19, I guess, and that's when I had first moved to Nashville, and I got my first 3-month contract with Sony ATV, and I began writing for 2 country artists down there, and. Those were my first kind of big opportunities job-wise, and that was a 3-month contract. So that contract was just for those 2 artists. And then when that 3-month contract was up, I was there to decide whether I wanted to go find another contract or freelance. And freelancing is just something I've enjoyed doing over the past couple of years because I can basically be called for anybody. Doesn't matter the artist, it just matters the writers want to pull me in. So usually I get called by some of my writer buddies, some guys that are also writing, and they'll pull me in to kind of just help out in the writing process for different artists. So there's 2 sides though, because you have staff songwriters who are on staff at publishing companies who get paid a salary, but don't get really any of the royalty side of things. So that's an even tougher position to be in because you have to be willing just to take the salary and not worry about getting royalties in the long run. And so it's kind of a whole sketchy area to talk about that stuff because there's no set rule basically in songwriting with royalties. It's just it's up to the producers, it's up to the management, it's up to the labels. So like I said, songwriting's kind of a weird position to be in, but it's a good position too. So. Like I said, there's 2 different sides of the thing. You can be on staff as a staff songwriter and be writing for whoever they bring to you, or you can freelance, and freelancing is, in my opinion, a little better. But we all do the same thing, so it doesn't matter.
So how did you even, like you said you were 19 and you went to Nashville for Sony, like how did you even get that?
Sure. Well, I mean, I had been visiting Nashville. I was looking at going to college in Nashville my senior year of high school, and all of a sudden felt really called to the city. It just, I mean, you guys, I know, Becca, you've been to Nashville, so it's kind of hard when you go there and, you know, you want to come back and you just never want to leave Nashville because it's such a cool city. But, you know, I just kind of felt called to Nashville. Made some cool friends down there, and what ended up happening was instead of going to the college, I ended up talking with this one producer down there that works a little bit up in New York City too. And he had one little opportunity for songwriting, and you know, I got in contact with him. We kind of met for coffee, which I feel like is the meeting that you do everywhere in the music industry. I've probably been to 12 different Starbucks here in Los Angeles the past week. So I guess you got to be a coffee addict more than anything. But I met with the guy, and he ended up having this one artist that they were looking for one more songwriter. So I decided I would take the chance and begin songwriting. So I wrote for the first artist for 3 weeks, and really made some cool friends with 4 other writers, I believe it was with. And after that one project was over, after those 3 weeks, they offered me the 3-month contract, and then I wrote for the 2 other artists there. So basically what was kind of cool was everything just kind of exploded. I met one guy, you know, I met with the producer, and then I met all these writers. I became friends with all of these writers, and then they started asking me to write with them with other projects, and everything just kind of came together. I met some really cool people. Becca, I know you met some pretty cool people down there. In fact, we have a ton of mutual friends now. So it's just kind of a cool story how it all kind of started, and I come from a small town in New Jersey too, so it's like, for me, it was kind of cool to be able to talk to some of the kids from high school too that were just kind of oblivious to what was going on, and it was just a cool experience for me to see how it kind of came together, because it wasn't, you know, it's not like I did it on my own. It just kind of, it really came together, and I guess it was just kind of meant to be, you know?
That's so cool.
Yep. I mean, that, honestly, the whole statement of it's about who you know in the music industry is a true thing. And I guess that's unfortunate and fortunate in some ways. It's definitely all about networking. And the networking came a lot easier than I thought it was going to at first. Because I felt like I really didn't have to try as much as I needed to. It just kind of started coming, which is cool. But yeah, networking is basically the big secret, I guess, and then you guys know that. It's basically what it's all about, getting into the business and the industry, so.
So how long, like, when was that 3-month thing? Like, how long ago was that?
That was in 2008.
Okay.
That was in September. Yeah, it was like September, December of 2008. So, I mean, I basically graduated high school and went right to Nashville and went for it. So, it was a quick turnaround period.
That's good. All right.
That's really cool. Yeah, I guess, how important to an artist is a session writer? Pretty important.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bias question.
You may get a completely different answer from an artist, but
yeah,
it's really, really important. I mean, there are really gifted artists out there that can write some really good stuff. And I mean, I'm an artist too, and I write for myself, and I do write my own songs. But I started to realize after I began collaborating, even my own stuff that I thought was like, oh, this is awesome, like, you know, I'm great kind of deal, you know. I realized I wasn't as good as much as I could have been when I started collaborating with people. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, you know, the more minds you have behind it, the greater it's going to be. The stuff that comes out of some of the songwriting sessions, well, basically what's cool, I mean, I guess this is just a cool thing to have for a job too, is, you know, you sit in a studio for a couple hours and just get to record cool ideas musically and lyrically with 3 or 4 other writers, and kind of get ideas down and save them so you can use them later, an artist can use them later, or, you know, if it's for a specific artist, they'll use them right there and start writing for the artist. But I mean, it's a cool opportunity because you get to sit there and just basically record all day. So, I mean, for a musician, that's a dream.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's super important because you can get a song that was written in a couple hours, and it could be great, but then you start talking about it with some other writers, and they come up with some really cool ideas for it, and it just starts to build and explode. And so to me, it's super important to have just writers that are going to collaborate with you and be interested in looking to take the song into a deeper place. So it's important to me, especially. It just brings another side of the whole songwriting aspect of the artist too. It builds up the artist. It challenges the artist too. It's kind of important to be challenged, at least in my opinion. If I don't feel like I'm challenged, then I feel like I'm not going to grow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just important to continue challenging the artists and try to do the best. And like I said at the beginning, songwriting's a tough spot to be in because it's not like your name is going to be the one that's known. Yeah. And you may have written the whole song completely, and there's no set rules. So it's just it's a tough situation to be in, but it's a good situation to be in if you like songwriting. So.
Right. That's really cool.
So, when you, say you did the Kesha songs or whatever, does it say, in little CD, does it say, written by, blah, 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 or is it just, Kesha?
Well, I didn't write for Kesha the other day. I wrote with her writers, not specifically for Kesha. It's basically, we did sessions where we were able to record some things, and they're her main writers out here, and I actually didn't know that when I first started writing with them until they told me. But yeah, credit-wise, songwriting is, once again, you got kind of two sides. It depends on if you're writing for the specific artist in the publishing company, and you're paid for that royalty, and you're not and this is the other thing about being a staff writer. If you're a staff writer, most of the time, your credit may go on, your credit may not go on. It's all up to the publishing company and the label too. They're kind of in control of where it all goes, but depending on where you stand in the songwriting spot for the artist is really going to depend on whether your credit goes to the song or not. To me, especially now too, I'm still at a point where I'm just trying to, poke my name in anywhere I possibly can and continue to write for as many people as I can because, that's kind of the inside trading of songwriting and networking. So I'm trying to, work with as many people as I can, meet with as many people as I can, and continue to grow as a writer. I just want to continue to be challenged, like I said, and be sure that I'm not kind of slacking and just doing it for the fun of it, So, that's kind of the tough subject. It's kind of a tough question to answer because, credit-wise it's all up to where you are in relation with the publishing and the artist too. So, it's good to have your name on it, and for me, I've listened to a couple of songs now that some artists have recorded, and I began writing with them, and then it was finished by other writers, and their names got onto the credits, but, being the lesser of, and at the beginning of everything, you don't see your name, and sure, it's frustrating at first, but it's still your creation, so it's still rewarding in the end.
I know that you play, do you still play shows and all that?
Yeah, I actually, I just got picked up by an organization called I Matter Too. Really cool organization based out of Tampa, Florida. And they basically started to, it's kind of like Compassion International as an organization. They get kids sponsored here in the U.S. actually that are abused and neglected or orphaned. And I actually talked with the founder at a conference I did a couple weeks ago actually still. And we've been talking back and forth about, getting involved, and I just have some shows in December now. I think the second week of December I'm going to be down in Florida doing some benefit shows for them. So yeah, I do still travel for myself. I continue to focus myself on developing as an artist too. Whether I go with that in the long run or not, we'll see. Right now I'm going to focus myself on songwriting, but any opportunities that I get to be able to be an artist and travel and do shows, obviously I'll continue to do.
Awesome.
I think what you do is great, so.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure, I'm sorry I had to kind of run. I'm on my way to a meeting, so it's
okay.
I actually come back to the Northeast tomorrow, so it's my last day in Los Angeles, so it's like I got all these meetings trying to get squished in with all these new people, so. But I'm glad I could interview with you guys. It's awesome. I'm happy you guys are doing what you're doing, and
thank you.
You don't really see what you guys are doing, too, so it's kind of a cool project. I'm eager to see how it turns out.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with everything.
Yes, good luck with your meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys.
All right,
thank you.
Bye.